Welcome to Trek Trav, I'm Trav, and this is Star Trek the Animated Series review, More Tribbles, More Troubles. And I did not know this was the next episode. I was excited because I've actually heard about this episode, but I've never actually watched it. And let's just say there is surprisingly not a lot of Tribbles, but a lot of Tribbles.
Subscribe to Trek Trav now.
Before we get started, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you thought about this episode. Does it sort of fit into your headcanon of the Tribbles, I suppose? It was genuinely sort of an interesting episode to watch as it's an animated series. The Enterprise is escorting two ships filled with wheat to a planet which is starving and needs food. The Klingons come, they attack. They have a new weapon that produces a stasis field which stops the Enterprise from doing anything, which it's not heard of in Star Trek after this. It's not heard of in any of the spin-off media. It's genuinely sort of a weird thing. So they try to beam the survivor of the ship that the Klingons are attacking. They're attacking another ship, like a little shuttlecraft, and he gets stuck in the buffer. The Klingons want this person and they want him now because he's caused ecological damage to a planet in the Klingon Empire. With the Tribbles, we kind of know who it is. It's one of those things that sort of, if you think about it, it could only be one person. The Enterprise decides to use the grain ships to try and ram the Klingon ship to stop them attacking because they're in control of them. They're called robot ships. And it sort of distracts the Klingons for a while, so the Enterprise gets sorted, then the Klingons sort of disappear. I'm pretty sure, because this is Koloth, who was in the original series in Deep Space Nine, but I'm pretty sure he was voiced by James Doohan, which is everybody apparently in the animated series. We finally see who is transported aboard. It is Cyrano Jones from the Trouble with Tribbles in the original series, and I'm not sure if this is voiced by the original actor or not, but the character likeness is pretty damn good. He's in pretty much the same clothes. Apparently in Star Trek they don't change clothes, kind of like Doctor Who back in the day, to be honest. Cyrano Jones has brought Tribbles aboard. It is very clear. He's like, they don't reproduce, they're good Tribbles, they don't have a problem, and I have a special sort of plan B, which is a little alien creature thing that eats Tribbles. And we see it eat a Tribble through its bumhole, which seems a little bit odd, to be honest. But we see this creature, it's sort of got like thorns on its head, like teeth on its head, but it eats it from the bum. Who knows? It's basically sort of just shown to be eating this Tribble, and it's an interesting creature design. I would actually love to, it would be, once again, good to see in live action because the design is just so wacky and weird. Cyrano Jones sold Tribbles to a Klingon world and he took something. And we know what he took. He took the creature that eats the Tribbles, and we don't know why. He just took it so it could solve his problem with regards to the breeding Tribbles. We start to notice that the Tribbles are getting a little bit bigger, especially when the Klingon ship attacks and it knocks over the wheat in the cargo bay and the Tribbles start eating. And we get a shot of the Tribbles growing. They're getting bigger and bigger. And there is a really funny sub thing of Kirk keeps knocking a Tribble off of his chair.
Captain, a harmless little Tribble. What can they hurt? Harmless, maybe. Little?
And every time he does that, the Tribble's getting a bit bigger, and eventually he just goes, look, I think I'm just going to stand. And it's I actually found that joke really, really funny, that he just gives up. He's like, look, it's too big to push off now. I'm just going to leave it. It's kind of like when you have a fat cat and you just can't be bothered anymore. Klingons come back and attack, then they just leave again. There's a lot of this. I think it happens like 3 times. And it's really, really weird. We find out that Cyrano Jones actually stole the Tribble Predator from the Klingons because they literally designed it so they could solve the Tribble problem. And that's what they want. They don't actually want Cyrano Jones, they want the Tribble Predator. And Kirk's just kind of like, okay, let's do that. But the Klingons still want to attack Kirk, so Kirk but has a suggestion given to him by Spock, which is to beam the Tribbles over. The Klingons use their new secret weapon, which diminishes them, and we find out that stops the Klingons from actually destroying anyone because it uses too much power. So they can't fight back, the Klingons can't fight back, but what Kirk can do is beam the fat and growing Tribbles over to the Klingon ship. The problem is kind of solved. McCoy comes up with a cure which makes the Tribbles, and it says the Tribbles are like a conglomeration or like a pact, and when he injects the Tribbles with this stuff, the Tribbles just collapse into the big fat Tribbles collapse into little Tribbles, and they stay little now, but I did not know. Why would they getting fatter but then becoming a million other Tribbles? Technically, wouldn't that be reproducing? I don't know. It sounds a little weird to me. It is genuinely funny because Kirk beams the Tribbles over and the Klingons are just like, what the hell? And they get their Tribble, the Tribble killer, they put it there and the Tribble killer's just like, nah, I'm getting the fuck out of here, and runs away because the Tribbles are too big. So Kirk calls the Klingon captain and just sort of go, he's sort of like, well, we need this, da-da-da. And he goes, you don't know yet, do you? And suddenly a fat Tribble rolls behind the captain on the view screen. And I'm just like, man, this is a wacky episode. It is really, really silly. And the Klingons just like, how dare you, Kirk? Like genuine anger at Kirk for beaming the fat Tribbles over. There was a lot of humor in this episode. The episode ends with sort of the Klingons dealing with fat Tribbles and Kirk dealing with Cyrano Jones. He keeps saying he has to protect him because he's a Starfleet citizen or a Federation citizen. I don't know whether that sort of makes sense, but this episode was wacky. I love the fact that the Tribbles get fatter. I love the fact that Kirk keeps trying to push a Tribble off his chair and it just gets fatter and fatter and fatter. I like the resolution, which is just to beam the fat Tribbles to the Klingons and they have to deal with it, and the predator for the Tribbles runs away. Lots of wacky stuff in this episode. The Klingons, of course, look like the Klingons from TOS. The D7 battle cruiser looks really, really good. There is a shot. There is a shot at the end where McCoy talks about how he's done this Tribble, but he hasn't done them all. And Kirk's pointing up this, talking up the I want to say the engineering way or the Jeffries tube. And there's a big fat Tribble in there, and then because of McCoy, it dissipates, lands all on Kirk, and they literally took it frame for frame from the TOS episode. And then Scotty picks up a Tribble and sort of wiggles it in front of Kirk's face, which just looks really odd, to be honest. But there was just a lot of humor, a lot of fun. I feel like this one's probably the most childish of the episodes, but also the most entertaining because it was just silly. And I think the voice acting's great. I don't understand why Uhura is always, when they do a top view, Uhura's in a weird laying position. I genuinely like this episode. I think it was entertaining, it was silly, it was fun, and very much a kid's episode, but also written by David Gerald. Like it was genuinely like someone who loved that Tribbles episode and just went, I'm going to write another one. We've got Tribbles. They're really great for kids. Them getting fat and eating the wheat, like it felt like at the beginning it was going really slow, and then within about 5 minutes it just picked up, and suddenly we were sort of back and forward with the Tribbles and the Klingons. The Klingons went and gone like 3 times. The new weapon looked really cool, but there's one of these things, and I've said this every episode, a lot of talking. And I feel like that's maybe why the animated series didn't go for longer, because there was a lot of I want to say, if you'd watch the live action shows, there's a lot of talking and technobabble and back and forth. But in a cartoon that's only like 25 minutes long, it should be more sort of showing and not talking about it. And whereas the animated series seems to be doing a lot of talking about it, which is baffling to me in the day and age of TikTok and stuff like that. It doesn't make sense that people's attention spans could stick that long. And that's why I feel like maybe it got cancelled later on. What did you think of the episode? Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Come back for Voyager reviews on Sunday, TAS videos every Wednesday, and random topic videos most Mondays. Have a good night.